Back with Royal Robbins, we were started out talking about a rescue. You mentioned you're on another one.
Well,
Tell us about it.
I've been lucky because some bad things have happened to and near, involving a lot of my friends, but I've somehow always been lucky that I was somewhere else, so I didn't have to mess with that stuff. And the rescue on Half Dome was at least a clean affair. There weren't any broken bodies and no deaths and so forth. So I had a perfect record until about 3 years ago when I was climbing in a little area by a roadside view in the mountains above Modesto in the Stanislaus National Forest, and somebody started yelling about some kid had hurt himself down below, and turns out these kids were going down this steep section. It got steeper and steeper, and one of them finally took a big fall, and he was down there, and his partner somehow climbed down, was with him, and so I climbed down to them, and it was I had to use a rope to get down there myself. And he was pretty broken up. I mean, he had broken a lot of things, and his friend, who had done a good job of taking off his clothes and wrapping him, trying to keep him comfortable and everything. And by the time they got the rescue team in there and we carried him out, that was real rescue work, and it gave me a lot of admiration and respect for the people that do that a lot. That's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
We did save his life, and he turned out okay.
Great. Well, you talking about the inspiration to climbers, I mean, not just your name and what you've done there, but you've produced a couple of little books.
Yeah.
That probably a high percentage of us who started climbing went out and bought. Basic Rockcraft and Advanced Rockcraft. What year were they first published?
71 and 73.
71 and 73, so in the neighborhood of 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've sold 400,000 copies?
Over 400,000 copies. It's amazing, yeah.
And without basically much revision, I gather.
None. And there's a lot, of course, that's quite dated in there. Techniques and equipment have really advanced, and there's not any of that in there. But I think they continue to sell because there's a view of climbing and the philosophy of climbing and principles of climbing in there that are, I believe, timeless and worth keeping alive, and are the very heartbeat of the enterprise. And I've got these from the best climbing writers of the past. There's nothing new in there that I've invented, but I've tried to keep it alive, and I think that's why the books keep selling.
Well, I have my copies, and one of the things that I think happens in a lot of things in life that we do is we sometimes forget the basics. And it never hurts to go back and look at the basics, and the basics haven't changed.
Good point.
You need to know what you're doing and try to do it safely, and to do it the best way you can without hurting yourself or endangering somebody else. So.
And I guess I would add one other thing to that, John, and that is doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, right, for the right reasons.
I mean, some climbers want fame more than others. Some want adulation, attention, money, whatever. But the main thing that drives most climbers, whatever range they are in those things, is a passion for climbing and what they get out of it. And it's good to be reminded that the reason that we keep climbing is for the same reason that we originally did it. It's for joy, it's for adventure, it's for bringing ourselves more alive than we would be otherwise. And I think it's good to be reminded of that as well.
Well, something that in your talk last night I want to mention, because climbing is used in Outward Bound in other places. Long ago I had a friend, a young woman, who had a group of kids who had been on drugs or were on drugs in L.A. and would take them out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been highly touted as climbing as something to build self-esteem, which sooner or later I guess everybody needs. But what you said last night, and I'd like for you to talk more about it, if you would, is that to climb a mountain, you have to climb the mountain within yourself. So many people that I've had experience with don't understand that it is within themselves. It's not within some gimmick or gadget or whatever. Could you talk about that? The way you did last night is very inspiring.
Well, I'll try, John. I guess my main point there, people do take kids out and they hope that climbing will do something to them. It'll help them. And I think in many cases it does. I think it opens their eyes to the possible within themselves and outside of themselves, things that they've never seen before. But the main thing for me in terms of personal growth the climbing offers is the opportunity to be scared, to be challenged. The opportunity, just like that, you can step out of the car, walk about 5 minutes over to the base of a cliff, and you're facing yourself, kind of a mirror of yourself, if you will. You have the opportunity there to instantly both be scared and be challenged to if you're going to get up something, you've got to do something inside of yourself that you perhaps haven't done before, you see. And so it's that wrestling with yourself that forces, which if you want it enough, then you will do that. You will cause a change inside of yourself, just enough to get you past that difficulty. And once you do that, you're never quite the same. And I think that's what is wonderful about climbing, because it, more than other sports, it more clearly delineates that distinction of being where you are at one point, being challenged, climbing through it, you're changed a little bit. Each time you do it, you can grow a little more. Does that help? Does that?
That's what you were talking about last night, and I think that's very good advice to people, because people can get into climbing for a lot of different reasons, and as you say, sort of keep what's in mind, that this is what you want to do, and do it for the right reason.
People who teach climbing, one of the reasons we love it so much is because you can see that transformation in the student pretty early. I mean, you can take them out, and they've never climbed before, and they get up and they struggle, maybe they fall off a few times, and they finally get to the top, and they're just elated, You see all of that joy, which is the way we're supposed to feel. You see it right in front of you, and you help bring that about. So that's one of the reasons why climbing instruction is such a joy in itself.
Well, I had a great good fortune to have my first climbing lesson at Exham in Jackson Hole with Bill Briggs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Bill's a natural teacher.
Yeah.
As a person who teaches people to do television interviews and to do public speaking, Bill Briggs has got more talent in his little finger than I would ever have in my whole life, in that sense. And
he was instructing at Sugar Bowl with Liz and I when we were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And Bill and I are still, we're not climbing together anymore, but we're still doing things in music together. It's been a nice friendship. And then the experience of climbing over the years with Chuck Pratt. And I remember when Chuck was introduced, the first time I saw him at Exham, was that here is a person who never wastes any energy. Every move is for a purpose.
Yeah, that sounds like Chuck.
Well, it is Chuck,
yeah.
I think, and I've never seen him waste any moves. And it's been nice to be able to climb with people like that. It's been great. Climbing I like your view on this, but it seemed like maybe about the time I got into it in the 70s, it wasn't maybe going to be too popular. But some things happened, obviously, and now it's very big.
Yeah.
Probably no one really has a finger on the scope of even American climbing.